Hello, happy stampers. How is everybody this Thursday evening? Welcome to Tools and Techniques Thursday. So we're going to have a fun technique tonight, and we are going to be doing a little bit, it'll kind of be like no-line watercoloring. We are going to be using our watercolor pencils, and along with that, we're going to be learning a special fold, the wiper fold, and you guys are going to love this fold. I know you guys all loved the techniques last week, and several of you said, hey Judy, can you bring us some special folds also on Thursday evenings? Now, I do share some of those in some of my other broadcasts and my YouTube videos, but so I thought, you know what, I'll scatter some in here a little bit. And so what do you guys say? Let's get going. Don't forget to grant StreamYard permission, or whatever it says. Click here so that you can comment so I can see the comments. Okay, I'm going to flip you all around because I still have not figured out how to get this on my phone. I've tried and tried all day, and I couldn't get it to go. All I kept getting was a bunch of advertisements. And I don't like advertisements, and I'm sure you don't either. Okay, so like I said, this evening we're going to be using, that light doesn't, I want to try with different lights. Let's see if that works. A couple of you said that part of the video last week was blurry. I apologize for that. I've got my webcam set so that it's not blurry. Okay, Delicate Dahlias. Calypso Coral ink, some Granny Apple Green, and our colored pencils. I am using our assortment 1 and assortment 2. So we're going to move those out of the way, but let's talk about our fold first. Okay, this is a wiper fold, and oh, I don't know how this got stuck on there, but I am going to have to get another piece, so hang on just a second. I have another piece ready. So we have a piece of 8.5 by 11. Okay, and I've cut it to measure. I left it at 11 inches, and I cut it at 3 3/4 by 11, I believe. Yes, by 11. Okay, but before I cut these pieces, I had my cardstock. Okay, and I didn't cut it. I took my cardstock, pretend this is a full sheet because I already cut it by mistake. So we took a 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, okay, and we haven't cut it yet, okay? So we're going to put it in, and we're going to score it at one end, and we're going to score it at 2 inches, and then we're going to bring it down, and we're going to score it at 3 1/4 inches. Okay, so we have our full sheet. Once again, it's scored at 2 inches and 3 1/4 inches. Okay, we're going to take it, and we're going to turn it this way, and we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 3 3/4. Okay, so you'll have, that's 3 3/4 is 7.5, so you have about an inch left over. So you have these 2 pieces. And what we're going to do on the first piece is we are going to, I'm going to hold it this way. So my score lines are on the right. Then the second piece, your score lines are going to be on the left. Okay. So now I know it's hard to see, so let me grab a pencil. I don't care if this has some pencil marks. So we scored it to begin with at 2 inches. So our score marks are here. Our line is all the way straight down here. So I've got a light pencil mark, and 3 1/4 inches. Okay, we then turn this and cut it at 3 3/4 and 3 3/4. We have these two pieces, and now you can see you can't see those lines real good. Let me turn my lights off. There. Okay, now you can see the light. Only thing is you have a shadow now. And I don't like that shadow. So you've got your score lines. You're going to take one piece and have the score lines on the right. And the second piece, you're going to have the score lines on the left. Okay, so the one with your score lines on the right, I'm just going to stamp this. I want to decorate it. So I've grabbed the leaf stamp and my Granny Apple Green. I do want to fold this under on the score line because I do not want to stamp under on that extra piece. That's a folding piece. I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper here to stamp on. And we're just going to stamp some leaves all the way around. Let's get this one that way. We'll put this one up. And we don't have to go all the way in the center because we are going to be putting something on that center there. Let's put that there. And you'll notice that I turn my paper when I stamp like this. That way you'll notice that in the beginning, I was paying more attention to where I was placing them. And I really don't want to do that. So we're going to put this one here. And I'm just going to get my mat and make sure that we don't have any gaps. And we don't. So we're going to have a mat on the front. So it's going to hide that gap in the center. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and decorate this. And I'm going to show you a little trick when creating this type of fold. Now I'm using the gingham, and it's a bumblebee gingham from the Pansy Designer Series paper. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and put that on the front of the card. This is a very, very simple card that when you actually see one, it's like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? It's so complicated. Okay, so that's what our front's going to look like so far. But we're going to set all this to the side, and I have 3 squares which measure, 1.5 by 1.5. And then I have 3 squares of our fresh freesia that measure 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. So we're going to mat these onto there. But first we're going to take our flower stamp. And I am going to use this stamp. Now I'm going to show you another card using this stamp here, but I wanted to watercolor tonight, and I wanted to use the watercolor crayons. So as you all know, we have photopolymer stamps, so you don't want to stamp this in your permanent inks, your StazOn, because it will ruin your stamp. So we're just going to put one of these on each one, and I'm turning it just a little bit. I don't want them all to be exact, because then if I don't stamp these real straight, you're really going to tell. But by turning them, it distracts your eye. Okay, so I know what you guys are thinking. You're probably thinking, Judy, I'm going to try to go down a little bit closer. It's hard. There we go. I'm going to flip these around. There we go. Okay. So, but when I use my aqua pen with this, the ink's going to run, right? Well, that's what's going to kind of give us some of that watercolor look, or that no line look. Now we do have our Calypso Coral Pen or pencil in the larger pack, in our assortment pack. And I believe, no, You guys, I'm going to tell you, it's best to pull them out and look. And the colors a lot of times don't even look like the colors on the end. So this looks oranger, and that's actually Calypso Coral. I don't want pumpkin pie. I want Flirty Flamingo. And I want Daffodil Delight. So out of the first assortment, I took my Calypso Coral and my Daffodil Delight. Out of the second assortment, I'm grabbing my Flirty Flamingo. I believe that's right here. See how pink it looks here? Oops, I'm not in the camera. How pink it looks, it's really not that pink. It's pinkier than the Calypso Coral there. So we're going to take our pencil, and in the center, we are going to color with Daffodil Delight. Just like that. Let's see. It might help you a little bit. So I'm coloring it pretty solid because I want that pretty dark. But now what I'm going to do is I am going to just put a couple lines in the center of each petal. Okay. And you can do these however you want. This is just how I'm wanting to color it. So I put all my color down first, and then we're going to be doing the blending. But when I do my blending, I am not going to use a lot of water because it will blend out our ink that we put on there. Okay, we have our Flirty Flamingo. Now, when you see the Flirty Flamingo, here, you grab a scrap piece of paper here again. Flirty Flamingo is there, and see how much it's pinker? And then there's your Calypso Coral. So that's what they're going to look like next to each other. So I am going to go in with my Flirty Flamingo next. And I am just doing the center of all my flowers. And I am going over that Daffodil Delight just a little bit. And it's okay because, you know, when you look at your flowers in your garden, they're all just a little bit different, right? Hello, Christine. How are you? And Denise and Kay. I'm so happy to have you guys. Bring my camera down. You know, Chris, I can bring it down, but then hang on just a second. Let me try this. It's hard. There we go. It's hard to get it down lower because I have to do my webcam upside down. Otherwise, you guys would be watching me upside down. And I guess it wouldn't matter, right? As long as when I put the cards together, I put them together right. There we go. So is that better for you, Christine? Let me know. Now we're going to go in with our Calypso Coral. And we're going to bring our Calypso Coral around the edges. And I'm actually working around the Daffodil Delight. Okay, and down. And you're going to notice there is some white space. That's okay. And with this technique that I'm doing tonight, you do want to get a lot of color into your areas because that ink is going to bleed. Now, if you were using a permanent ink or if you embossed the outside edge, you could do a softer look. And don't forget, these are watercolor pencils, so they do bleed outside of the lines, and that's okay. We're not going to fret over that. I know everybody goes, oh my, it went out of the lines. My water spread. Watercoloring is soft. Almost no lines, you guys. So I'm hoping that when I do this tonight, we're going to get a little bit of a no line. Now my ink, if I wanted it a truly no line, I would have stamped off before I stamped those flowers. Okay, we've got our 3 flowers. So now I've got my aqua painter. And I'm just going to, I'm actually picking up a little bit of water because I squeezed it and it squeezed all over before. So now I'm just going to take this water and I'm going over the inked part of the petal too. And I'm just, see how I'm moving the watercolor pencils? And you guys will see the difference in just a second. I'll put this one up against another one and you'll kind of see the difference. If you don't want the yellow to bleed as much, don't go over it as much. And you're not going to see a lot of color difference once I start blending these together between the Calypso Coral and the Flirty Flamingo. Okay, I find that these colors work well together. So I am just moving around that edge. Okay, so it doesn't look much different, does it? But wait, look when I compare it there. Can you see the difference? See how it's blended and the edges are a little fuzzy? So there we go. Okay, we're gonna let that one dry. We're gonna go here. And the same thing. And I am basically just going around the edges and not into the center a whole lot because I want to see that yellow in there. And if I were to go over it too much, I would lose that yellow on these petals because they are so small. I could, well, it's kind of hard to show with the large dahlia, but I could try before we got off today and color one of those. Let me know if you'd like me to do that on a larger image. Just keep going around. The important thing is controlling the amount of water. And when you're holding this, you want to hold it down here. You don't want to be squeezing the barrel up here. I'm trying to watch the screen at the same time as coloring to make sure that I'm not covering it up. Okay, and I'm just dabbing some on. I want some of that color to go on the outside because it is watercolor. And this one did pretty good, my first one. Okay, so there's those three. And you're going to notice how bright that yellow is. Now, if we wanted to go in and deepen up some of it, we could take our pencil and just dab it in the end of our brush so we get some color. And we could go around and see how that makes it a little bit deeper. I'll do it around this one, just so you can see. So there's different ways of coloring with these watercolor pencils. This way doesn't get it, the color will be deeper, but as you can see, the paper is being saturated with that water more, but those lines are starting to go away. My pencil is, the lead is a lot smoother, but see how those ends are going away. Okay, can you tell the difference between those two? Look how much deeper that one is. Now we can leave one deeper and the other one's lighter. These actually look lighter on camera than they are. They are quite deep. So I'm just going to go around some of them. Maybe deepen that up a little bit. And you're going to notice I'm not dipping my tip onto my brush too often. I'm finding I have enough water. Here we go. And we'll go ahead and dip it in that one. We'll go around some more. Now you could dip these into alcohol also. Ooh, I got a lot of water on that one. It's okay though. And once again, if we wanted to bring out more yellow in the center, just recolor. And I'm actually dipping it onto my brush. Okay, so we've got those three. We're going to let them dry for just a second before we mount them onto our mats. We'll take our mats out of the way also. Okay, let's bring our card back in. And I also have, and I've got to get these measurements because I pre-did them for you all. So I have a piece of basic white that measures 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. And then I have a Calypso Coral that measures 3 inches by 5 1/2. Now, in one corner of this Calypso Coral, I brought it up and I made a tick mark, brought it out here, and I brought a tick mark at 1 1/2 here, and then I lined it up, or actually 1 1/4 to 1 1/4 here, 1 1/4 here, and then I lined up those two tick marks. Oops, can't see that. I'm closer up, so I've got a little smaller space to work in. So I lined the two tick marks up here, and I closed this, and instead of using my scoring blade, I did use my bone folder because I wanted a thicker score line. You could also use your larger stylus that comes with your Simply Score tool, or you could use the larger stylus on your Take Your Pick. Now we're going to go ahead and fold on that score line and burnish it. Okay, we have our two pieces, and remember I went ahead and drew on my score lines. And if you missed the beginning, you'll have to go back and watch the rerun. So we are going to fold this down, burnish the score line, and then we're going to turn it over and we're going to burnish the score line here. I have to move this up because it's just not enough room for me to work and you guys see. So once again, we're going to fold. I'm going to do it this way so you don't see it. Fold on that score line and burnish it. Fold out on the score line and burnish it here. Okay, so we have those two lines. And we want to do it opposite. So I'm taking this one, and that's why I haven't finished the front of my card yet, okay? So we have those score lines and those folds on opposite ends. Now we're going to put, I'm going to put Stampin' Seal Plus on each end. And we want to score, we want to make sure we have a good, solid adhesive on there. You could also use your tear and tape. You could also use the liquid glue. We're going to flatten these back out, okay? Now, our score lines are on the opposite, so we're going to take it and we're going to flip it. And we want to line up each end, okay? So I'm lining this end up here, just like that, and pressing down really good. I'm going to go to the other side, flipped it around, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line this edge up here to this edge here. Now, if you wanted, when you went to put these together, you could just hold them flat and adhere this and adhere this. I'm going to see if I can erase the score line now with this pencil mark. Okay, so our card when it's folded up, is going to be folded like this. And then we're going to pull it open. Okay, but it's not doing anything right now, right? And when it's folded up, it does fit into a legal envelope. I'll zoom out in just a minute and show you all that. Okay, so you're just going to decide which way you want your card to pull it. You could pull it this way or the other way. I like having my extra strip here. You could decorate this strip here if you wanted. Okay, this is the tricky part. Okay, because I'm not going to show you this entire card, but we're going to want it to flip up. Okay, just like that. So we folded on our score line. And when you're holding it this way, and I'm sorry, I want the white part on this on my right side, just because I don't know, I've always done it that way, that the extra flap is over here, so I know how to put this on. When we are going to set this on the inside, and that's why I'm holding it this way. And when you have it to the inside, you want this corner, okay, if you hold it on your card, you want it this corner folded in. Okay, you're going to lift this up. You're going to take and put tear and tape, Stampin' Seal Plus, liquid glue, whatever you want on that flap. You're going to fold that flap down. Okay, then we're going to slide this down. Okay, and you're going to notice I have it down about 1/4 inch, between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, whatever you want. But we haven't glued it in there yet. We want to slide that edge all the way to the right, so it's butted up to the score line. And then we're going to close our card. Okay, that is the easiest way to do that. Now, I'm going to show you, here's one that is not put together. So when let me make sure I have it the right way. Yes, I do. So it's going to flip up. Okay, and that's what causes the wiper motion. So once again, we folded that, so it was folded back, and you are actually adhering it. I can't take this apart now. You're actually adhering it to that fold. Now, I could show you how to put it on that fold with it open, but what happens a lot of times is people put it on. So here's, I'm going to move out a little bit. Oops. Now you got me. Hang on. Okay. So I have people putting it on like this, but it's pulled out. You need it down like that with it folded in. So what you could do, I'm going to go ahead and rip this off, is if you wanted, you could leave it flat before it's together. Make sure it's folded back. See, they folded it forward here instead of folding it back, so that your triangle's there. Then you're going to flip it this way. You can hold it in here like this, but you want to be along that score line there, and you want to be just below the top of your card, and you want to close that. And if it's done correctly, so we're going to close that like that. If it's done correctly, when the card's put together, it will flip out. Okay, so that's why I'm saying put your two ends together first and then put that in there. Okay, you know what? I'm going to be leaving this up on my Facebook so you guys can have access to it. But what do you say? Let's finish this card up, okay? So we've done our watercoloring with our watercolor pencils. And we're going to go ahead and just secure these onto our mats. Really quickly here. Let's get those in. And you can really decorate this part of the card any way you want, okay? I am just doing it with these squares because it would be easier for tonight. I will show you another card. I think it's still together. Now, when I adhere these squares, I'm going to start with my 2 outside squares first. And I'm looking at my 3 edges to see if they are just about right. Okay, and then I'm going to go to this side and the same thing, just kind of line them up the same way. And the reason why I start with the 2 outside is because you can take this middle one and you can cheat it. Plus, you can get your distance between each mat pretty even. Now, with the gingham, you can tell more. Okay, so it's gonna, but we need to decorate this part too, right? So this is the piece that I'm gonna go and put on there, and this one measures 1, 2 3/4 I think. What did I do the length at? I did it at 4 1/4, so 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. You can make this any size you want as long as it doesn't interfere with that triangle. Okay, so I'm just going to do this thank you. I'm going to do a thank you card. The last one I did a happy birthday, but I'm going to go ahead and do thank you on this one just because I need to send some thank yous out for some orders. So I'm just going to put this up here. Or you know what? I'm going to do a leaf first and then a flower before I put that thank you on there. So I'm just going to put this right there. We are going to stamp a flower. Right there. And we need to color that flower, don't we? But let me get my thank you. I'm sticking my thank you right at the top. And I went over my leaves. That's okay. You can do that however you want. But let's get this colored. And we're going to do it real quick to see how quick this can go. I'll do Flirty Flamingo. And I am just scribbling it on there. Cover up my memento pad here. And then we'll go around the edges. They're Calypso Coral. And then we will take in our watercolor painter and blend those pencils up a little bit. I'm not going to do it quite as much as I did in the front because this is just enough to blend that on. Dry it real quick. We're going to go ahead and add that. These watercolor pencils. And you guys, don't be scared to mix your mediums. Okay, we're going to pull this out. And we're going to put this on here. And I have left myself enough room to write a little note and sign it down below. Okay, and if you wanted, like I said, you could do some leaves down here, you know, or decorate it here. In fact, I think I am going to. I don't quite like it blank there. So we'll do a couple along the edge. We don't have to go all the way in, although you could. I like that better. Okay, we're not done. We're going to grab our holiday rhinestones. And, you know, I love these rhinestones. They have different colors in them. And I don't have to color them. You know we can color them with our Stampin' Blends. But let's see. Let's use the yellow. And we're going to put a yellow one there, and we're going to do this reddish one here. And we'll do another yellow one over here. Just like that. And like I said, you can decorate it however you want. I'm going to show you a couple other ones. If you had taken my Hey Girlfriend online class, which I did, I think I did it back in, it was before January, so I want to say November-ish. We did one with the Hey Girlfriend. Oops. And hang on a second, because I actually had my granddaughter was playing with it and she kind of ripped it. So I need to put this on again. So we'll get that on there. Oops. Okay, did I put, this has got to fold back. Oh, well, it's not going to work because I have adhesive on both sides, but I'll show it to you open. This is what it looked like open. So if you took that Hey Girlfriend class, this was one, and she pops up and down, but she's kind of sticky right now. And this is one that we did at the expo. Now I used the Delicate Dahlias, but we did just the stamp, no coloring, and it was just plain. Okay, so up and down, there's your washer cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this evening. Let me see better. Christine says, I'm glad you made another one of these so I can remember how it connects. Yeah, just watch this any old time, Chris, and you should have access to those other videos also from the class. So until next time, everybody, happy stamping.